One thing a man is not going to do is make you whole. A man is not going to fulfill you. And a man is not going to make you. Welcome back to my channel. My name is emmaldy, the relentless boss and transformational coach, and I am here to empower queens. Subscribe, like, share, and click that notification bell. Do you love yourself? Do you like yourself? Do you really know who you are? Are you a completely whole person? If you're someone who desires to be married, desires to have companionship, desires to share your life with someone else, you must be a whole and complete person before you meet that person. Because contrary to what society overall tells us about your other half making you complete, making you whole, you actually have to be whole yourself. Your other half is not there to make you whole and not there to make you complete. God makes us whole and God makes us complete. Before you get married, before you meet your person, it is super important that you are actually happy. You are actually genuinely happy. You have joy in your life and in your heart. You have joy in your purpose, in whatever it is you're doing in life. You actually like yourself and know yourself and love yourself. It actually took me a while to get to the place of just being happy with just me. Just being happy with Emma. It took me a while to get to this point. And some of you may be going through the process, which I actually think is a lifelong process to really get to know yourself, because we are always changing. We're always changing, always evolving throughout different seasons in life. It is possible for you to really discover who you are, what you like, and love yourself enough to know that you don't actually have to have a man beside you to make you whole. You don't actually have to have a man beside you to be significant. You don't have to have a man beside you to validate you. It took me a while to get to this place where I'm not desperate for marriage. I'm not desperate for a husband. I desire to be married. I desire to meet my husband, my future husband, but I'm not desperate for it. Being single and having the desire to be married, I have been there where I was desperate to get married, but yet had no understanding about what marriage really is and the seriousness and the gravity of the covenant of marriage. Contrary to what some people say, that marriage is just a bit of paper, it's just a contract. It is a covenant which cannot be broken. It is something not to go into lightly. Having the desire to be married, to meet your person, is a beautiful desire that God gives some of us. Not everyone desires to be married. Some of us have the desire to be married, to find our person. And so it's a beautiful desire to have. But marriage should not be your goal. What should be your goal is actually really loving yourself and knowing yourself, knowing what your God-given purpose is and walking in that unapologetically. And so for me, there was a point in my life where I was really desperate to get married. And I think the desperation came from the pressures of family and society for you to get married at a certain time, for you to have a family, start a family at a certain time, at a certain age, being constantly told by everyone that your biological clock is ticking. Your time to have children is gonna pass, it's passing, you need to hurry up and get married and have children. And I remember one time I was actually told by one of the aunties, okay, if you're African or West Indian, you know what I mean. One of the aunties actually told me, this is the advice that I was given, that I should just go and find any old man, have a baby, and at least I have my children or my child, even if I don't get married. This is the type of advice that I was given. And so this will show you the weight that people put on having a family, having children. And many times it's like a status symbol. If you don't have children in certain communities and societies, it's frowned upon as a woman. If you're a single woman and you're over a certain age, it's frowned upon, like there's something wrong with you. I was desperate to get married as a result of outside influences. And when I really actually sat down to really think about, well, Emma, why do you actually want to get married? Do you even know what marriage is? Do you even know the commitment, the covenant of marriage? There was a few times when I had been at weddings and I had heard the vows being given at the altar, and I remember sitting there thinking to myself, wow, like this is no joke, like this is serious. This is actually serious. In sickness and in health, till death do us part, for richer, for poorer. Wow, Emma, are you actually ready for this type of commitment? Are you actually ready for the covenant of marriage? And that really made me realize that I wasn't ready for marriage. So all the desperation in wanting to get married and have this so-called this status symbol of a husband by my side to make me whole, to validate me, to make me approved. I literally was like, no. But I had to go through the hard way because of my desperation, I put myself in positions where I devalued myself. I did not know myself. I did not love myself. So I was literally up for the highest bidder. Well, really, in many cases, not even for the highest bidder. And so when women put themselves in this mindset of, I must get married, it needs to happen now, I'm desperate to get married, and the reasons or the motives behind wanting to get married is because you feel that you're not good enough or you're not validated without having a man beside you, because society says or your community says or your family says that without a husband you're not enough, you're not complete, you're not whole. You have got to say no to that, because it could lead you, and some of you who are watching this video may be going through it now. You may be so desperate to be married that you put yourself in a position that has caused your self-worth and your self-esteem to be eroded away. You have compromised your values, your mental, physical, emotional, because of a desperation and a desire to be married at a certain time, because people are telling you that that's the only thing that can make you a whole woman or enough as a woman. I'm here to tell you that is not true. You have to learn how to love yourself, to value yourself, to know the beauty that God has put within you, to know how God sees you, to see yourself through God's eyes. Ask God to show you how He sees you so that you can begin on that journey of healing. On this journey to loving yourself, knowing yourself, liking yourself, becoming the woman of God that God has called you to be, you're able to actually stand alone and recognize that you don't need a man. When I say you don't need a man, I'm not talking about I'm a strong woman, I'm an independent woman, very sort of masculine ideology. No, I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is before you get married, before you find your person, you have to know who you are. You really have to know that you 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 know who you are, and really love yourself. Really know that you are God's masterpiece. His masterpiece. And He loves you. He chose you. He created a specific purpose for you before He laid the foundation of this earth. He loves you unconditionally. And you are whole all by yourself. All by yourself. Having a husband, having your person is in addition to that. It's in addition to that. I really want it to ram home to you that you standing alone at this time and in this season is for a purpose, but you have to open your eyes so that you can actually see the reason for this specific season and purpose and why God has you going through this process. Many of us, like I did at a point in my life, I made having a husband an idol in my life. If I put that before God. And this is why it's so important for us to really get to know who we are and really take time to know what God says about us and who God says we are, so that we can really understand that marriage should not be the goal. Yes, it may be your desire, but really knowing God and fulfilling God's purpose in your life should be the goal. Queens, why don't you date yourself? Take yourself out to dinner alone. Go to the cinema alone. Do a solo trip. Travel. Many of you are desperate to have someone to go on holiday with, or to go to dinner with, or to go for long walks with, or to go to the beach with. You have to really learn how to love your own company. You have to learn how to love your own company, because you are going to be spending the rest of your life with you. And if you don't like yourself, if you don't enjoy your own company, how are you going to cope with spending the rest of your life with yourself? I have been single for a long time, and I have learned to love my own company. Yes, I have friends. Yes, I have family. I spend time with them wherever possible. But I also spend time with myself. I have been to the cinema by myself. I have taken myself to dinner. I have gone on solo trips. I have traveled by myself. And this has really helped me to really develop that joy and that peace of spending time with myself, of getting to know myself, of getting to know what does Emma like? What does Emma enjoy? Like, what type of foods do you like? What type of books do you like to read? What excites you? What's your passions? What's your joys? I think many people get married at a young age, very naively. They go into the marriage not really having an understanding of the seriousness of marriage. And before they get into their marriage, they didn't have time, or they didn't make time to be intentional about getting to know who they are. They get into a marriage, and many people end up losing their identity, completely losing their identity. And that oftentimes actually leads to marriage breakdown, leads to divorce, because we are ever changing all the time. Perhaps what you wanted, or what you felt you wanted at the time before you got married, you don't want that anymore 10 years from now, 20 years from now, or even 5 years from now, 2 years from now. So that's why it's so important to date yourself. Date yourself. Do you like you? If you don't like you, then how do you expect somebody else to like you? What makes you happy? What brings you joy? What do you like to do for fun? If you do not know these things about yourself, you cannot expect somebody else, a man, to do those things for you. And if you're a guy watching this, you cannot expect the woman to fill in those gaps for you. You have to discover these things for yourself. Learn who you are first before you meet that other person. Enrich your life first before you meet your person. One of the benefits of being single is you have time by yourself to develop skill sets, develop your mind, develop healthy habits in your life. So for your physical health, your mental health, your spiritual health, you have time. You don't have to concern yourself about worrying about somebody else. There's someone else in this relationship that I have to think about also. When you're single, it's just you. So all of the things that I've mentioned are things that you have time to actually develop and grow in your life before you meet your person. Living a fulfilled life where you are actually walking in your God-given purpose and you are working on yourself to become the woman that you need to become to fulfill God's purpose over your life is so important. And I believe that it is paramount to actually being able to later on have a fulfilled relationship, because I believe that when two people who have been working on themselves, every area of their lives, finances, health, your mind, your fitness, your purpose, the work that you do, when two people come together and they have both been working on these areas, you've got then two whole people who have now come together, and they can be so much more greater and so much more powerful together, and such a force to be reckoned with together when they put in the work. Each and every one of us have been through some form of trauma in our lives. It is so important that you work through and start your healing process, because a healed person is going to help to heal another person. I have heard it said that in marriage, you can actually be completely healed. There's areas of your life that your future husband may be used by God to heal. However, what you don't want is that you're not going through the process of healing right now, and then you enter into a relationship and it becomes very toxic, very unhealthy, because the work wasn't done beforehand to heal certain areas that your husband is not really supposed to be taking on. Working on yourself to become the woman, the wife, doing that due diligence, that preparation that needs to go into you actually becoming the wife for that husband that God has for you is mandatory. Being happy and single includes your healing. It includes you working on becoming who God has called you to become. Living a fulfilled life before you meet your person. Not thinking or having the mindset of, well, when I meet my person, then I'll be fulfilled, then I'll be whole. No, you're working on that now. And then when the two come together, go and get that degree, go and get that PhD, go and get that MBA. Go and study something that you've always wanted to study and get your qualification for it. You can literally pursue your dreams when you are single. You can go after your dreams. I'm not saying that you can't go after your dreams or fulfill your dreams when you're married. I'm just saying that with marriage comes a lot of other responsibilities. And in marriage, if you start a family as well, if you have children, you are now responsible for other human beings. And so that in itself brings its own challenges when it comes to making your dreams become a reality. But when you're single, you're free. So you're actually free to focus on your dreams and your aspirations. You're actually free to focus, like really focus on your purpose and really pursue it, really go hard for it. Go out there and explore. Go out there and make things happen. Go out there and be your best self. Go out there and become the woman that you have always dreamt of becoming. You may have a list of things that you desire in your future husband, in your person, but are you those things? Are you those things? You may want someone who's successful. You may want someone who's walking in purpose. You may want someone who really looks after themselves, takes care of their self-care. You may want someone who has abs. Do you have abs? These are the things that you have to ask yourself, and these are the things you have to consider. Be happy with yourself. If you have in your list that you want someone who looks a certain way, who's fit, who takes care of their body, who looks after themselves, are you looking after yourself? Are you fit? Are you being intentional about what you put in your mouth? Are you being intentional about physical exercise, physical mastery? Use this time not just to prepare for a husband, but use this time to prepare yourself for the woman that you are becoming. If any of this resonated with you, let me know in the comments. Let's have a conversation about what you are doing to be happy whilst you are single.